You know what I mean? Like Boaz, he steps off of his camel or whatever he rode to get there. And
Not his camel.
well, he was like, "Come on, Chris." But no, I'm
He's
for real.
swagalicious.
Yes, he should get some theme music. That's what I feel like when I read him. Like, and then he goes through and he's got some swag. He's like, "Yo, what's up, man? God bless."
What gives you that impression?
I don't know. I don't know. That's what I struggle with. I guess I'm the only one that sees that.
I mean, I started seeing it.
I don't know if I see it. I feel like I've always seen Boaz as an old man who has money.
What is going on, XYZers?
What's up?
XYZ Nation. We back in the building. They laughing at me because, I try to talk all hip-hoppy.
Not hip-hoppy.
Hip-hoppy?
Hip-hoppy.
It fits your generation.
Yeah, thank you. It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We are the hip-hop generation. Hip-hop was created, discovered, unearthed during my generation.
That's crazy.
In New York.
That's so crazy.
Bronx, Queens, people, they argue about that. That's KRS-One,
It's above my head.
I know, right? I just listen to the music.
Yeah, the Boogie Down Bronx. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but anyway, and of my Gen X hip hop heads out there, y'all can correct me if I get anything wrong. But yes, I am hip hoppy because that's how I grew up. But we are here as generational scriptures, representing generations X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
I will not forget to introduce us this time.
Okay.
So I am the latchkeyed one himself, the former X-Man, Chris, in the building, representing Gen X. What's up, my peoples? And next to me we have...
I am Moya, the resident millennial.
Yeah.
And then I am your microwaver. I'm Jasmine, and together we are generational scriptures.
Oh yeah, we getting good at this.
Chris, nobody's beating your intro. It's so good.
Really?
Yes. I need a form. I need something else. I need something to spice up mine, like microwave. I need one more.
You need something.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a poll because yours is really good. I'm gonna get some.
Yours is good too. I mean, the microwaver.
It's boring.
It fit though.
It does.
Just add the sound effects.
All right,
we can make up sound effects.
Yeah. I need something real cool though. Real cool.
What sound effect are we gonna put in? Like the microwave beep at the end or something? Like when it's done.
I gotta find like a cartoon, like something that matches the microwaver vibe.
Okay.
I'm gonna find something. Don't worry.
All right, cool. We'll make sure we get it in. And I do like the idea. If you want another name, let's poll the XYZers.
Yes, please let us know.
See.
Please.
Now, y'all got to treat Jasmine better than you did me because I didn't get no feedback. Give us some feedback.
Please.
Let her know.
Yes, I need a cool name, y'all.
And it needs to be cool. Don't come with no mess. We don't deal with mess.
We got to do it on Instagram, probably.
Okay.
All right, yeah, for sure.
So we'll make sure to put this out on Instagram. Oh man, so it's good to be back with you guys. Mm-hmm. Continuing through Ruth. Looking at chapter 2 today. I think we'll see some interesting things.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I think we'll see some interesting things. And I don't know, me and Moyo might get in a fight. So if you see the color bars and just hear the boo noise, then Moyo came over here and punched me in the eye.
And to understand the reference, y'all need to go back and watch the previous episode because it gets hot at the end. Oh, you need to watch it.
Wait a second. I wasn't that bad.
But it was a good debate though. I really enjoyed it thoroughly. I'm telling you. And I'm like, it's I'm just curious to see how it
falls out.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think it'll still be, there can always be two sides to every
Yes.
story.
Oh,
Yes, it
really?
can. Yes,
It can, but my side
It's right.
will be the stronger argument.
I have to be the tiebreaker. I have to be the
You
tiebreaker.
could be the tiebreaker. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right. So today we're going through, as I mentioned before, Ruth chapter 2, and the title is Right Place, Right Time.
Yes.
Right place, right time. Did you want to give like a sort of synopsis of how we got here?
Oh, from the first chapter.
Of things that have happened that have led us to what we're getting ready to get into now.
Will's the best at that.
I know that's why I'm looking at her like, and I put you on the spot.
I know y'all gotta send me a message beforehand. But okay, so Naomi and her family, they moved to Moab, and while in Moab, her husband dies, who is Elimelech. How you say that? Elimelech.
And what's interesting is his name means Eli, which is God, right? And Melech, which is king. So God is king, or God reigns, or something of that nature.
Okay, so their family moves to Moab because of a famine that was happening in Bethlehem. And while there, he dies. Elimelech dies. So now Naomi has herself and her two sons. The two sons get married. 10 years later, they die. So now it's 3 women, no husbands, no children, no anything. And Naomi is like, okay, well, I need to go back home, because she finds out famine is over. The people are being blessed by God again. So let me go back to my family.
Yep.
Her 2 daughter-in-laws, Orpah and Ruth, are trying to go with her originally.
Right.
And then she's like, I have nothing for you guys. I need y'all to just stay, go back to your own mothers, go back to your own family. And Orpah's like, you right, bro. Like, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna head out. And
Switches, love you.
yeah, literally. And then Ruth, on the other hand, is like, no, where you go, I go. Where you die, I die. Where your God is my God. Like, all of that. Like, we stuck like glue. So they both go back to Bethlehem. The people see Naomi and they're excited because, you know, she's returning home, and they're like, Naomi. She's like, don't call me Naomi. Call me Mara, which means bitter. And we understand why she's bitter if you don't go back to the last episode, because we talk about that pretty intently. And then we get here.
Yeah. So they're back, and it's interesting. I think the last verse of chapter 1 is, and they came to Bethlehem at the beginning of barley harvest. Right. So that all of that helps to set up the scene when we get into chapter 2.
Yep.
All right. So awesome. Thanks. So, verse 1 of chapter 2.
Okay. So this is Ruth, chapter 2, verse 1. Now Naomi had a relative of her husband's, a worthy man of the clan of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz.
We get introduced to Boaz.
Yes.
What do we find out about him? What stuck out to you about what it talks about concerning Boaz?
He's a worthy man.
He's a worthy man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, because without context, what a worthy man looked like back then. Like, what qualifies him to be a worthy man? I mean, later on, like, you explore more of his character, but just that alone, like, what? And I guess open-ended question: what did that look like back then?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and it's a good question because I had the same thing. I was like, worthy. What makes him worthy?
Right.
But when I looked the word up, it really talked about almost like him being a soldier.
Oh, okay.
Right. but we're not told specifically that he's a soldier. But what comes with being a soldier is that you're expected to have some sort of means. Because if you're a soldier, then you have the means to, keep up, all of your soldier stuff in yourself.
That makes sense.
So it's like it starts at soldier, but it sort of morphs into someone who has means. They've got, worth, right?
Okay.
And I wonder if the author is. There's several times when we read through it, it's like the author can be just like using these words just to sort of set things up.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he's just trying to set us up for those types of questions. Who worthy? What makes him worthy?
Yeah.
Right?
We said a similar thing for last chapter, didn't we? Like, there's an interesting word usage. The diction is very specific.
Mm-hmm.
That leaves us like, was that on purpose, or
Right.
like what was the point of that?
Yeah, it's almost like he's trying to draw us along in the story.
Yeah.
Keep us captivated.
Yeah.
Yeah. The definitions I found for that word, and I can't pronounce it, but I wrote it down.
Hey.
Look at me.
Okay.
But
Was I
they
wrong?
no, you were right. They had faculty, power, strength, wealth, property, competent, brave, landowner, army, upper class.
Yeah.
So all of those things could be that same word.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. What stuck out to me was that he is a relative of Elimelech.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here in this first verse introducing out of the blue. Yeah.
Really randomly.
Really randomly.
Yeah.
This Boaz. And this Boaz just happens to be a relative of Naomi's deceased husband,
Yeah.
which to me is wild.
Yeah.
It's interesting that's how he starts out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The placement is strange because it feels like this sentence could have been placed after the she happens across this field. Then whose field is it? But we already know now. It's like I don't know.
Right. And again, I think it's all to draw you in. It's like, ooh, Boaz. I feel like every time I say his name, I should say it like Boaz. Boaz.
Had some swag on it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like this guy who just sort of comes out of nowhere, and then you just sort of get carried along as you go through the rest, because there's stuff that happens even with Ruth. So Ruth chapter 2, verses 2 and 3. And the read as follows. And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain after him, in whose sight I shall find favor. And she said to her, go, my daughter. So she set out and went and gleaned in a field after the reapers. And she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the clan of Elimelech. All right. So now we see Ruth getting ready to go on the march. It's when I first read this, I almost like thought it was like her asking for permission to go out. But I don't think it is. Did y'all read it that way?
I still read it as her asking.
It's her asking?
Yeah. Yeah, I still read it as her asking.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't. It's interesting. Like once I read like the session notes, I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, let me go. Like, can I go? But I also read it the way like I normally talk. Like, I'm like, all right, let me go and get my stuff done, or I'll call you back. Like that kind of let me go. Like I'm going. Like I'm letting you know that I'm going.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately when I was reading through some things, it didn't come across as she was asking for permission. And what else throws me with that is because at the end she says, "Go, my daughter." Like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
But I really think that she's sort of making a statement of something she is planning to do.
Yeah.
Let me go and do this.
And that takes me back to how, like what I said, last episode, I really feel like the way Ruth presents herself is very like first son of the family. Like, let me go fulfill my responsibility and let me go glean among the ears of the grain. Like, it seems very like, I don't know the word for it, but very much it gives me first son of the family. Let me go take care of my responsibility. Mm. That's just the role that she's fulfilling.
Mm.
Her what is it called, the word when you just do something without being asked?
Initiative.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got some initiative in her.
Yes.
Did anybody look up gleaning?
Mm-mm.
No?
I think I did.
Did you write it down?
That's what I'm checking. I think I wrote it down later on. Let's see, did I? No, maybe I didn't. I think I did reaping and the other sheaves and all that.
Okay. So, but let's talk about reaping. What did you put down for reaping? Because she said she's going to follow the reapers, right?
Yeah.
When she goes out to glean.
I wrote that reaping was performed by women while the assortment of the sheaves was the duty of men.
Yeah.
Reaping is the cutting of the grain. Mm-hmm. Sheaves are the bundles of grain that are bound together after reaping.
Right. Right. So it points back to, again, they were coming back during the time of the barley harvest. So now we understand why she can talk about going out to glean. Mm-hmm. And gleaning, right, was hold on, let me read. So I'm gonna read some stuff. I'm gonna read some verses. Mm-hmm. Leviticus 19 verses 9 and 10. When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap your field right up to its edge, neither shall you gather the gleanings after your harvest, and you shall not strip your vineyard bare, neither shall you gather fallen grapes of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and for the sojourner. I am the Lord your God. And if that's not enough, Leviticus 23 verse 22. And when you reap the harvest of your field, you shall not reap your field right up to its edge, nor shall you gather the gleanings after your harvest. You shall leave them for the poor and for the sojourner. I am the Lord your God. And if that's not enough, Deuteronomy chapter 24, verses 19 through 22. When you reap your harvest in your field and forget a sheaf in the field, you shall not go back to get it. It shall be for the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow, that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands. When you beat your olive trees, you shall not go over them again. It shall be for the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow. When you gather the grapes of your vineyard, you shall not strip it afterwards. It shall be for the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow. You shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt. Therefore, I command you to do this. So, when they were gleaning, they were doing it as widows. Someone who, again, and we talked about this, right, in chapter 1, her sons, Naomi's sons are gone, her husband is gone, so now she's a widow. She's got to fend for herself. We intimated that she may have been doing it in the field in Moab, where she heard, that the God has visited, where she lived in Judah, and she decided to go back. But what's happening here is something very similar, where what's read and it's talked about is that when they were to reap their fields during a harvest, or even olive trees and grapes, there were specific ways to do it such that there would be something left for those who needed sustenance. Yeah. They didn't have, like the widow, just like we talked about. In that time, the widow was really at the mercy of everyone else and the generosity of anyone else, which is interesting because, as we also talked about, this is during the time of the judges. So during the time of the judges, everyone did what was right in their own eyes. They didn't follow the Lord like they should. So finding someone who would be generous would probably be difficult during this time. Yeah. But the law here states 3 times that when you reap, you're not supposed to go all the way up to the edge of your field. Yeah. You're supposed to leave that. When you drop something, you're not supposed to go back and pick it up. So when it talks about Ruth gleaning. It's her going out and, getting from the edge of the field that wasn't harvest, or following the reapers and anything that, like you said, right? They cut the sheaves in one hand, and then they, once they got enough, they couldn't carry much more. They put them down, and then the women would come and they tie up those bundles, and then they would sort of put them to the side. It's like, this is a harvest part, and we're going to take it. But if when they were cutting something and something fell or they didn't get all of it, they were supposed to leave it.
Yeah.
Right. So when she's saying I'm going to glean, she's going to basically figure out how to get some food.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, they need to figure out how to eat. And the other thing that's interesting, and I read this, is it's not like this was going to be. It's not like it was going to be a very fruitful effort, should I say? It's not like you could make a living off of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I read one commentary, and they were like, to try and think that you would be able to live, make a living off of gleaning would be like trying to make a living off of recycling aluminum cans. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you're getting looked out for, but it's not going to make you rich by any means. You're really trying to get by and figure out where meals are coming from and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's the significance of her gleaning. What else stuck out to you all in those couple of verses?
I think it kind of goes back to what you just said goes back to Naomi's like bitterness. It's like I have nothing, and now I'm basically, it's scraps that is left for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it just goes back to that
Yeah.
it's really not a good place that they're in right now.
Yeah. And she tried to warn them.
Yeah.
She wasn't telling the story. I don't have much to offer. I don't have much to give. This life, I think she understood that this life, which may have been why she said, call me bitter. Let me say, from her standpoint, the way that she saw it and understood it, this life was going to be difficult from this point forward.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting too. I'm looking at the show notes for chance versus luck. I don't know if the field being like belonging to Boaz, which happened to be a relative, was luck. I don't know, because everybody's like luck isn't of God and stuff. Like, I don't know how all of that stuff fits in, but I feel like it's like somebody called it like divine timing or something, where like the pieces just start aligning and things just start falling into place. I think that everything is very intentional. So I'm gonna venture to say that it was like this was a very intentional thing that was laid out.
Wow, I feel like we've talked about that somewhere before.
I know, right? So it's just a continuous circle, a full circle. But like, and I thought I was pondering this while we were talking, like, how do we navigate chance versus luck today? That is, I feel like no one, it's a two-sided thing, right? Because in certain situations such as this, right? Okay, it's two sides of the coin, where you can look at this like Naomi's like, oh my gosh, okay, we've really fallen. Like we're relying on scraps to eat. Like, what are we doing? Don't have my husband to help me. Like, I don't have my sons, and now I'm relying on my daughter-in-law to pick up behind the reapers and see what we can, see what we can get. And it can be a very like sad, very somber thing, to where you don't realize how much of a blessing it is, because there could be nothing.
Right.
And she could not have her daughters.
Yep.
And she could be alone, which on one hand could have been what she wanted. On the other hand could be not what she wanted. But, I think like in today, like if this were happening today, it's just all about perspective, because you're always going to have a person on both sides. You'll have your Naomi, who's just really sitting in her circumstances, which is okay at times. But then you also have your Ruth who's like trying to maximize
Right.
the opportunity for what it is,
Right.
because this is very like one time opportunity. You have this is like a freak kind of thing going on that you lucked up, right?
Yeah.
and fell into these circumstances. So it's a very interesting point that I just was really deeply pondering over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, the author, I think he's trying to play on that. Like, and she just happened
Right.
to walk into Boaz. Did she really just happen to walk into Boaz's field? Or is it just like you said, this divine meeting, divine time, somehow paths and footsteps have been guided to lead him?
Yeah,
that
I
way.
truly believe that. I don't
Yeah.
feel like anything is by happenstance or by chance. It just doesn't make sense. Too many things are like lined up for that to be the case in my mind. It could not be as deep as I'm thinking, but
I feel like it then gets into all of those like philosophical
yeah, I agree.
questions and thoughts, which like is God, do we truly have free will? Is God ordering our steps, or are we making decisions? And then it can get a lot
deep.
if you keep digging.
Oh, it gets deep.
Yeah.
It gets deep.
But
we'll have
is
to
it
have
that
somebody
deep?
on to talk free will. I'm not the best at that topic.
Is it that deep though? Like, is it really that deep?
It can be.
I think it can be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. It there's tension in it, because I am of the firm belief also, just like you, that this was not happenstance. I am of the firm belief that when we looked at Joseph last year, and we said it time and time again, it was not happenstance. Right? I don't think this is either. And I think that, again, one of the things that makes it a little more clear in these types of stories and these books that have been penned, that we see what the outcome is.
Yeah.
Right? So if we look last year, Joseph, God's provident, Israel lives, Israel grows, right? They have to go through some 400 years of slavery. I think it's 400 before they're called out. But Israel survives.
Mm-hmm.
They're there, right? And even when we get to the end of this, I think we'll see the payoff.
Yeah.
I mean, the question nowadays is, what's the payoff?
Mm.
It doesn't line up as we see and look back as God shaping a people or God creating a line. So what's the payoff now? And I think that payoff is that God is creating folks that are going to be in Jesus Christ's image.
Yeah. And I think because this week in our Bible study or in our Sunday school class, we were talking about like how scripture then applies to your current situation, and does all scripture apply?
Ooh.
And so like here you're talking about, oh, what's the big picture? But when I came in earlier, I was talking about, oh, how I started this new job at this exact time to do this exact thing. And now all of these things kind of just lined up. And it's like the debate of, was it me? Was it God? Did God do it? But I still have to, I think in all of these, even in Joseph's story, the human player or character still has to do something.
The agent. Yep.
But then at the same time, it's like, if they didn't do that, then what? If this didn't happen, then what? God's plan will still happen, we think. But because we're human, we're just like, well, at least for me, I'm always like, look at what God did. This happened, and then this happened, and this happened, and now I'm here. And if this didn't happen, I don't think I would be here. So that's how I always look at it. But I always feel like there's times where I feel like I could have made a decision that was the wrong decision.
Right.
But who knows? Like, I'm not able to see all of those different scenarios.
Yeah. Yeah. Next. Just to point out, there are 3 feasts, right? There are 3 harvests that were done. And those coincided with the 3 feasts. So Passover, It was associated with the barley harvest, which usually happens in April. Pentecost was associated with the wheat harvest, which happened 6 weeks later. Pentecost, like 50 days rather. And so that happened in June-ish time frame. And then the Feast of the Tabernacles was associated with the fruit harvest, and that happened in October. So these harvests weren't like super long periods, right? You got in, you harvested everything, you did what you were supposed to do to it. Interestingly enough, for these three feasts, every male was supposed to go to the city, was supposed to go to Jerusalem in person, and they needed to bring their families if their families could travel with them. So also, before we move on, just want to point out Ruth, and you said this already, Jasmine, but her initiative, I think we'll see it time and time again as we go through this. So we should just look out for it. All right. All right. So next up, we've got verses 4 through 7.
Yep. All right. Ruth chapter 2, verse 4 through 7. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem, and he said to the reapers, "The Lord be with you." And they answered, "The Lord bless you." Then Boaz said to his young man who was in charge of the reapers, "Whose young woman is this?" And the servant who was in charge of the reapers answered, "She is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. She said, 'Please let me glean and gather among the sheaves after the reapers.' So she came, and she has continued from early morning until now, except for a short rest."
Wow. So I don't know. Is it just me, or when Boaz comes on the scene? What's the drawing a blank on the movie, the one with Morris Chestnut, Tay Diggs, The Best Man. I don't know if you all have seen that.
I think I might have.
Anyway, y'all help me out, Gen Z. All right? Best Man happens when you first see Morris Chestnut step into a scene. He's got like this music, like it's almost like theme music playing behind him, and he just seems like with such swag. He just sort of steps into the restaurant because they're getting married, and this is where the rehearsal dinner is. And he's this big NFL player, and he's getting married. And it's just like he steps in. I can hear the music now, and it's just like this beat that comes on behind him. I feel like Boaz should get that kind of intro. You know what I mean? Like Boaz, he steps off of his camel or whatever he rode to get there, and
Not his camel.
Well, he was like, "Come on, Chris." But no, I'm for real. Yes, he should get some theme music. That's what I feel like when I read him. Like, and then he goes through and he's got such swag. He's like, "Yo, what's up, man? God bless."
What gives you that impression?
I don't know. I don't know. That's what I struggle with. I guess I'm the only one that sees that.
I mean, I started seeing it.
I don't know if I see it. I feel like I've always seen Boaz as an old man who has money and he's nice, but he's still an old man. Yeah, like an old man.
I never pictured that in my mind at all. I feel like the charisma that you're saying, I feel like I started seeing that, but not here necessarily.
Not here. Okay.
But a little further on.
Yeah. But
yeah, no, I don't. The way you describe how it's just funny.
I'm saying that's the picture I get.
That's funny.
I'm
The visualization. I wish we could pop that up on the screen of exactly what you're saying.
I want to see if I can find a clip and put it in there.
That yes.
Inserts
clip. Boom, 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 and that's Boaz.
That's Boaz. Morris Chestnut.
My version of Boaz is different.
Yes.
I just seen him a little old man.
We'll find something for your version.
I know we need a little
Boaz.
picture too for old man Boaz.
Y'all tell us which one you like better, my version.
Well, I feel like you guys said that people say what, go get you a Boaz or whatever.
That's what I'm saying.
That fits your persona of him.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe everybody's like, go get you a Boaz.
Because
And I just be like-
he has charisma.
Yeah, he be coming in with the Riz. Like, yo, what up, my peoples?
No,
I can't with y'all. Is it because it's late? What's wrong with y'all today?
I think it is. I'm a little tiny bit delirious sometimes. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
man, y'all don't get it. Okay, anyway, so we find out about Boaz. He comes in, talks to his people, right? And what else stands out to you all in these couple verses concerning Mr. Boaz?
I think it's interesting how his interaction with the servant is very
Swaggy.
yeah. Yes. Very like, you know, when you have somebody who's like above you but they're very humble, you know, like I just got very like when somebody comes down to your level kind of thing. That's kind of the vibe that I got, especially because of how he greeted them.
Right.
It was just very nice, and it seemed like, I don't know the history with the Lord be with you, the Lord bless you. Is that a common thing, that a common exchange, or is that just something that's occurring just here?
Yeah.
Just like a polite little greeting, just that's
So it's a greeting, but I read something that said it may have been a greeting for harvest time to like, the Lord be with you as you're harvesting and doing this good work so that we can get a good harvest. And then they answer, the Lord bless you, because you know what we're going to harvest is going to be a blessing.
Okay.
So I've heard and seen a couple of different things about it.
It's interesting. I
just like to think he gave the head nod when he did it. Lord bless you.
God. Basically, Boaz is Morris Chestnut, if you guys haven't picked that up yet.
I'm saying.
Or we can relate him to Denzel for the Gen Xers. Or like, is he a boomer? Is Denzel a boomer? Whatever he is.
So I just saw something that's funny because Denzel is 69. So
oh my gosh.
Your eyes.
What?
Yeah.
He's old.
Oh my God.
I thought he was like 60.
Oh. Okay.
That's crazy.
So I'm not old yet. Cool.
No.
But yeah, he's 69. So I think that puts him in boomer territory.
Yes. Oh, sorry, Gen Xers, not
I think
Denzel.
Morris Chestnut is more Gen X.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Morris Chestnut. Just picture him every time we talk about Boaz. He's Morris Chestnut.
I don't know what that says about me, but that's what I do already.
Oh my God.
So that's what I got from the Lord be with you. The Lord bless you.
It's interesting. I just like that they greeted each other, and then just the way, like the explanation of who I was about to call her Naomi, Ruth, who Ruth is. I don't know, which is a very not cordial, but it just was a really good exchange. It just seemed to be polite. That's a good word. Like a nice polite exchange.
Yeah.
Especially in the way, like it seemed the way they described her as if she belonged there. I don't know if I was just the only one who got that vibe, but it didn't seem like they were describing her as like an outcast. I mean, yeah, I feel like it would have been a little bit more harsh in tone if it was somebody like this woman who's here that is not supposed to be here.
Right. Okay.
But because they lead with she is the young Moabite woman, it makes it sound like
Really?
she's not one of us. She's that Moabite woman that came with Naomi from Moab. Like, how many times are we gonna say? And I mean, they've been repeating that she's a Moabite woman from Moab. From like, they've been repeating that a lot. So she's definitely an outsider. Everybody notices that she does not belong here. Yeah, because it sounds like Boaz knows everybody that should be here. So this woman is standing out to him because he doesn't know her.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I think I agree, but I didn't upon like a first read, say that in my head like that, but now that you say it, yeah, I can see that, especially because it's mentioned more than once in just this, like 3 or 4 times just in this first paragraph.
Yeah. You had a note about her asking to glean, and your note sounded like she was just standing there waiting to get permission to do it. Is that what you think? Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's the words are so weird. Please let me glean and gather among the sheaves after the reapers. So she came, and she has continued from early morning until now, except for a short rest. She has continued what?
And I thought she had continued gleaning.
Yeah, right.
And it sounds like you think she's continued asking me the same question.
I think, yeah. I don't know if it's that she has continued asking, but that she has continued to remain here until she got permission to glean. I'm not sure if the foreman or the person in charge had the authority to say, yes, you can go and glean. Particularly since she's a Moabite.
Yeah, and I thought she had been working, which is why
that word continued throws it off a little bit.
And which is also why they say except for a short rest, because what is she resting from if she wasn't working?
From standing outside. I'm like kind of serious though, right? Because I mean, so we're going to see what happens after this, but something that happens after this probably lets us know that it's not early in the morning.
Well,
right?
I don't know. So in a different translation, so in NIV, which is the first one that I read, said that she came into the field and has remained here from morning till now, except for a short rest in the shelter. In that translation, I can see it more like she's just waiting, like she's been here waiting, for someone to tell her something.
She can go.
Now in the ESV, I didn't read it that way at all. I was like, she's been working all day and all night, and now she rested.
Yeah. So, all right. That's why when you read, try and read a couple of different versions.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the NIV, I think, does a word for word. So that word continued. It doesn't let you know, aside from, how do I say this? I want to say inferences. But the way the words are put together in the Hebrew, it's sort of that she isn't working. It's more of she's waiting there to get to go to work.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why it says rest in the shelter, except for a short rest. It's not saying that she, stopped work, rested from doing work, but that she actually, it's probably hot. It's April. She's been out there for a long time. She may have gone somewhere to sit for a minute. Yeah. And then came right back because remember, she's trying to get food to take care of her of herself and of Naomi. Yeah. That's interesting. She's trying to take care of Naomi. And Naomi didn't want her to be a burden.
Yeah, she didn't.
But okay, we're gonna leave that for a second.
But okay, so again with the translations, and I know this is not like a favorite translation, but Amplified has.
I was just about to say Amplified.
So she came and has continued. In parentheses, they put gathering grain, and so also, I think 100% of the commentaries I read said she was working.
Said she was working?
Yes. No one said she was standing. So when I read yours, I was like, oh, I didn't even think that she could just be waiting for permission. Because the only reason I wouldn't think that is because why not move on to another field if you need to get food before nightfall? Why not go, okay, he didn't give me an answer. Let me go to the next field. He didn't give me an answer. Let me go to the next field. But again, it's dangerous out here in these streets. So maybe these people are calm. But again, I don't know. It doesn't make sense for her to not be doing anything for so long if she's been here since the early morning.
True.
These different translations really get you screwed up because I immediately flipped the Amplified too.
And that's you saw the same
and
thing.
it said gathering ground. I was like, all right, now I don't know.
So which is it?
I don't know.
I don't know if it matters though.
Yeah.
I don't know if it matters, and we can talk about it as we go.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about it because I think as we go forward, it might shed a little more light. And we might be able to talk about that a little more. Next up, verses 8 through 13.
Yes. Okay. Ruth chapter 2, verses 8 through 13. Then Boaz said to Ruth, "Now listen, my daughter, do not go to glean in another field or leave this one, but keep close to my young women. Let your eyes be on the field that they are reaping and go after them. Have I not charged the young men not to touch you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink what the young men have drawn." Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, "Why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner?" But Boaz answered her, "All that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband has been fully told to me, and how you let your father and mother and your native land, how you left your father and mother and your native land and came to a people that you did not know before. The Lord repay you for what you have done, and a full reward be given you by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." Then she said, "I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, for you have comforted me and spoken kindly to your servant, though I am not one of your servants."
So here goes swaggy Boaz again. What do you think about his treatment of Ruth? First, what do we think about "Now listen, my daughter"? About that address.
That was interesting.
He's old.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
I did not look at that way. I looked at it more like because of his position. He said, "Listen, my daughter." Not because he's old.
you don't call anybody my daughter unless you could be their daddy.
Oh my god.
Like, I've never heard, because I feel like even in our culture, right, your uncles and things will be like, "Oh, my daughter, oh, my baby, oh, my this," if you're one of the little ones. Even to this day, if an older man is like, "Oh, my daughter," or if my husband meets somebody and like, "Oh, you just took my daughter and didn't even ask me," and he's like, "Why everybody always saying their daughter?" Because they're older. Right. So to them, I am their daughter, like a younger person underneath them. Yeah. Otherwise, they would be like my dad, people his age, he'll say my sister or, my brother. He won't say my daughter to somebody the same age as him. That's a little weird.
Yeah, I agree.
I see what you're saying.
So I do think he's probably older than Morris Chestnut, but that's still going to stick in my head. I don't
He could be Morris Chestnut age. Maybe Ruth is, I don't know, my age, because Morris Chestnut is old to me a little bit.
So yeah, I think it's age and station.
Yeah.
I think it's both. I think that's why he does that.
Yeah.
But then what else does Boaz do?
It makes sense now a little bit about her staying put, since it says he's like, don't go nowhere. Basically, stay with the young women. And I mean, I understand whole big picture why he says that, but I was like a little bit confused why he just wanted her to stay close to them.
I think it's going back to everybody's doing what's right in their own eyes. So this is a safe place. He's also saying, I already told the men that are here, like, don't mess with you. Like, don't touch you. But again, do not go to glean in another field. Sounds like she's been gleaning to me. It doesn't sound like you're starting fresh now. And it also sounds like maybe she had already gleaned a little bit in another field and another field and another field. And now I'm here because I happen to come into his property. I asked, and maybe I don't know, maybe they didn't answer, but she's still picking little whatever she could pick. And then, Boaz is like, actually, just stay here. You don't have to go anywhere else.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't quite see it that way. To me, when I see do not go glean in another field, it's just sort of not intimating whether she's done any gleaning to this point or not. I think it's just him saying, you're here now. You stay here to glean. You don't think about, you don't need to go to another field. Don't think about going to another place. You stay here.
I don't know. I think the one part that kind of leans more Moyo's point is where he said, have I not charged the young men not to touch you, as a question, as opposed to like making it a statement. Because it's like, I read that like if someone were to say like, why do you feel like you have to leave? Like, I made a nice bed for you, but like, have I not made it comfortable for you here? Like, why do you, something more of that nature.
But look at what you just said. Have I not made it comfortable for you? If I change that, haven't I made it comfortable? Right? Yeah. It's more of a statement than a question. Oh. I think he's doing the question, and it'll be that way because we do it sometimes too. Didn't I tell you not to?
Oh, right.
It's like, I'm phrasing it as a question, but it's really a statement that I'm making.
Okay.
Like, I've done this already.
Yeah,
so that's how I took those.
I think
those
even with the question,
statements.
You ask the question because you see that the person is trying to do something different. So there has to be some inkling that she may leave.
Yes.
So I'm saying, hey, I'm setting it up for you. Why leave? So I think it's still.
That's what I was getting more.
I don't know, because I literally I didn't see any other person that saw it your way. So then it became like a, wait, what's happening?
That's fine. One thing that, if we go back to verse 3, so she set out and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers, and she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the clan of Elimelech.
Yeah.
I read that as a summary of the next set of verses. I don't read that as a lead into. So I'm thinking when I get to verse 4 and I'm reading through verse 4 to 7 and then 8 to 13, those are the action verses. That's the story carrying out.
Yeah.
I look at verse 3 as sort of being a summary of what we're going to find.
Mm-hmm.
But why though? Because it says, so she went out. So she set out and went and gleaned in the field after the reaper. So she's gleaning, and she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz. So I've been gleaning, and I happen to come into this part of the field now that belongs to Boaz. Okay. So as I'm gleaning and walking, I'm in Boaz's field. And Boaz's fields, his reapers say she asked for permission. Mm-hmm. She may have been doing that as she's been going and gleaning, because they're telling us she went out and gleaned.
It comes down to the way that you read it.
With a perspective audience, leave in the comments. Please let us know how you interpreted these scripture. And if you know,
we need to phone a friend.
I know. If you've read a bunch of commentary, if you have a perspective, please let us know. I'm curious to see where you fall to.
So she set out and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers. Mm-hmm. To me, that's a statement by itself. Mm-hmm. And she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of
so
the
you're
clan
putting
of Elimelech.
Periods where we have commas.
No, there were no commas or periods.
I get what you're saying. So I'm saying, are you adding periods where they added commas?
Yes, I'm looking at these as two isolated thoughts. Mm-hmm. She went and gleaned in the field. That's what she did that day. And also during that day, she happened to come onto Boaz's field. And then you read all of the things that talk about her being in your
thought process. Boaz's field is the first field she got to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Theologians, please explain this in the comments. Because me, I don't know. I can see it both ways. Y'all are saying.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like it's one of those things that doesn't matter to the point of the story.
No,
You don't think so?
I don't know that it matters to the point. So we want to get it right, but in terms of the overall story and what's happening and what's meant to be showed about the character, because that's really what we're getting to, right? The character of Ruth and the character of Boaz. The character of Ruth, the initiative that she takes, the courage that she has to be in a foreign place, to go out, the want to take care of her mother-in-law, because she made that whole thing where you go, I go, where you die, I die, where blah, blah, your gods will be my God. So now she's living up to it. And the generosity of Boaz, which we really see on display in verses 8 through 13. That's what I think this really is about. I mean, do y'all? Yeah. So
that's what I said. I don't think it matters,
right,
enough to have like a long discussion about it. Just like the last conversation didn't matter. We can have different views on certain parts, I believe, of scripture, as long as it doesn't take away from
the overall
the message that we think is supposed to be portrayed here.
And anybody that says they have it 100% right is 100% wrong. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm not too big to be like, maybe Moyle was right. I'm going to go back and look at my stuff again after this is over. But, yeah, I can see it both ways.
Yeah.
I can see.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote, after I saw your note, I was like, oh, let me see. What did I write? I wrote, I could see it that way.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think it matters. Yeah, and I wrote that if it is your way, then the idea might be she was going from field to field to field asking.
Maybe.
Like, hey, can I follow your people? Hey, can I follow your people? And maybe people are like, no. And she's like, okay. And she moves on. Yeah. And maybe this guy was like, wait a minute, the person is coming. I don't know.
But. I don't know. But I mean, I also think that, when we think about this, and again, we've said it a couple of times already, the backdrop is the time of the judges, and people were ratchet. Right? So the law is not to glean all the way up to the edge, but I can imagine there were some people who were gleaning as close to the edge as possible to get everything that they could for themselves, instead of being one who follows the law and has the want to be generous.
Yeah.
Right? There were people who were probably gleaners who were coming in and trying to, run among the sheaves where they weren't supposed to, right? That's supposed to be the place of the harvest for the landowner, and they weren't supposed to. So I can see both sides. So her coming up and being sort of polite and asking, right, I think shows her character as well as the initiative. And again, Boaz's response to her, for whatever reason, I think that he talks about why in these couple of verses is also a big thing.
I think 11 and 12 really it circled back on a lot of things for me. So for in 11, where he says, all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband has been fully told to me, and how you left your father and mother and your native land and came to the people that you did not know before. And the Lord repay you for what you have done, and a full reward will be given by the Lord. Okay, that part, I was like, okay. So, for one, we were seeing she's, whether this is happenstance or not. It's I don't know. I don't know if this is how it really is. You guys tell me. But I think that there's a line of obedience, right? And the Lord is we're supposed to be obedient to what the Lord asks us to do. And at the end of that, you'll be rewarded. However, whatever the reward looks like, it may not be tangible, but there's a positive outcome for you being obedient. I believe that this was the way that Ruth responded in Naomi's time of crisis, because Ruth is also in crisis. We don't know exactly how she's like, handling it, but how she responded was the way that God wanted this to happen. And I say that because I don't think that positive, and this is another thing that can be argued with philosophy, but I don't think that positive things happen as a result of negative intentions. I feel like it can appear that way sometimes, but in the end, it's not positive. And the Lord doesn't reward disobedience. So the way I laid this out in my mind is that, okay, very strategically laid out like this. Every step was ordered. This was how it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be Ruth, not Orpah. She pieced out. It was supposed to, she was supposed to be in this field. She was supposed to be taking care of her mother-in-law. All of these things were meant to happen. And as a result of her obedience and goodwill, the Lord is repaying her for all that she's done. And I don't know if I would say, it could be that the Lord is doing it through Boaz's kind works. You think so? I couldn't figure out whether if he's the vessel or if it's I don't know. I couldn't figure out where Boaz's place is in this. Because is he enabling this to happen, or is it God doing it? I don't know.
I don't know if I understand the question.
All of the positive things that are Boaz allowing her to glean in these fields, and the reward that he's saying the Lord is repaying you for what you have done, and a full reward be given to you by the Lord. Boaz is allowing her to remain in these fields. Is the positivity, is it coming from him, or is it the Lord? Is he the vessel that the Lord is delivering the positive outcome? What is his peace?
I think it's kind of back to the free will thing. I think Boaz is a good man. And he's doing I think it's it's in his nature to do the right thing. And in this circumstance, the right thing is to allow her to glean. He does go above and beyond for her, because she has also gone above and beyond for her mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And he's blessing her. He's saying may God reward you as well, whose wing you have come to take refuge in. He's seeing that you left everything to come and serve our God and be under our God. And so God will bless you for that.
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we're agents, right? As much as we talked about several times, free will, right? We're not automatons. We're not machines. We don't just wind us up. But we do have a semblance of free will as God allows. If that makes sense. Right?
Yeah.
I want to breathe underwater. I can't. Right?
Yeah.
But God gives us the opportunity to make choices and decisions, but within the bounds and the confines that he provides.
Oh my gosh. Since you said that, I was going to keep my comment to myself, because I was like, I don't know if it's going to send us down a rabbit hole, but you make a great point. I visualize free will in this context as a dirt road. So we have a dirt road path, and it's carefully paved, and cut out. There's trees on both sides. There's really only one way you can go. Then you come to a split road. And both paths God is obviously aware of. You can go this way, and you'll have this is the way I would prefer you to go, but hey, make your choice. This based on what you know about me, based on what you know about the Bible, make your choice. You can go down the way that God says that is not his preferred way, but there's always going to be a detour that put you back on the path that he wants you to go down. It's all about I feel like the road is carefully paved by God. It's there. The road is there. You only have these options, but it's up to you to pick which route on this path you're going to take. Does that make sense?
Kind of like the mazes that you do as a kid. You can,
Yes.
there's only one exit,
Yes.
but you can follow a bunch of different ways.
Yes,
You may
exactly.
hit a dead end, turn around.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see it that way. It's there, and that's just how I see just life, and like, you know.
Yeah. And I think the only thing I would put on top of that is that God, being omniscient, already knows all of the paths that you're going to take.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows the destination that he wants to get you to. And he also knows the paths that, you know, Bobby Joe down the street's going to take as well.
Mm-hmm.
And how you'll bump into Bobby Joe and that might change your trajectory. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's all of these inner workings and inner
All these pieces.
twinings and pieces and all these agents that are working in God's economy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still able to work through all of them to get done what he wants to get done. So, yeah, I'm making my decision. I'm going to go down this path. Okay. God's like, ultimately, you're going to be over here. You just don't know it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like this road ends over here, but you looking from here, you don't see the end result.
And I knew you were going to take that path. That's why I sent Sally Mae from up the street to bump you and knock you over onto the detour, like you were saying, to ultimately get you where I want you to go.
Mm-hmm. Just a little sidebar, but that was in my head when we were talking about it in the beginning. And once you said that, I was like, yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
That
cool.
fits.
Cool. Oh, man. So Boaz was really, really nice. I don't know. Have y'all picked up on the fact that she talked about she was going to go to someone in whose eyes she found favor?
Mm-hmm.
And then she asks him, why have I found favor?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe, if I'm not getting ahead of myself, in verse 13, she says, I have found favor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really about, I don't know. It just feels like this chapter is about finding someone who would find favor in her, that would, just as Boaz is doing, be generous, that would be willing to go beyond, right? Like, I see you and I want good for you, so I'm going to do these things for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially after so much doom and gloom, they're finally getting someone that helps to lift them up, which I think is a good positive. First, especially there was one part, like when Naomi was talking about like how the Lord had, let me go back so I don't misquote it, but my notes are gone. You know, when she was talking about when she changed her name, and I was saying like it sounded like she was doing it despite the Lord. When you feel like the Lord is against you in like a negative time, it's like, what else could there be? What else is there if the Lord isn't even on my side? When you feel like that, and then you're searching for that light at the end of your tunnel, and then this happens, it's like, oh my gosh, finally. Like I found what I've been looking for. I found like I was gonna say refuge. Like you've just found like your golden ticket, your treasure, like, you know, that thing to bring you out of such a dark time.
Yeah.
That, at least for Ruth. Now I wonder how that's gonna translate for Naomi. I
think we'll see it in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ruth chapter 2 verses 14 to 16. And at mealtime Boaz said to her, come here and eat some bread and dip your morsel in the wine. So she sat beside the reapers, and he passed to her roasted grain, and she ate until she was satisfied, and she had some left over. When she rose to glean, Boaz instructed his young men, saying, let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not reproach her. And also pull out some of the bundles for her, and leave it for her to glean, and do not rebuke her. Man. So not only has Boaz theme music said, you know, you can glean, you can drink the water that the guys have pulled up, just follow the women. I already told people not to touch you. Now he's like making special, like, I can't even think of the word. Like
Accommodation.
accommodations. Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
Sounds like Joseph and Benjamin. Sounds like him filling up his plate in front of everybody else. That's the first thing that popped in my mind. I was like, this is sounding real good. She's found a whole bunch of favor in his eyes. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of the story where the it's in Matthew, where the people are working at different times. Like the people come in the morning, the people come in the afternoon, people come in the evening, but they all get paid the same for doing different levels of work. And then the people are like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And she kind of asks, like, why did you find favor in me? And he explains it, and she's like, wow, you found favor in me. Like, but then now it's like extra favor.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that she, and I mean, they didn't talk about how no one seems offended by this.
No.
And everyone seems to be like, I mean, she's eating with us. Okay, we'll drop stuff for her to pick up, like on purpose, even though it's harvest time.
It's crazy. It's almost like I don't know if y'all get the feeling, but it's almost like he's inviting her to the inner circle.
Yeah.
Which he talks about, and you mentioned it. She's a Moabite, Ruth from Moab, the Moabite, right? But she even says herself, "You found favor on me, and I'm a foreigner."
Yeah.
But here it's almost like he's bringing her in, like you're part of the. I don't want to say family or clan yet, but it's like you're part of the company. You're part of the people that I actually pay to do this work for me.
Which is why I felt like although they highlighted that she's a Moabite, they still don't act like she's not supposed to be here, because you wouldn't treat somebody this kind if they were somebody that's infringing. It doesn't feel like she's infringing on their space,
unless
their
you're a
food.
good person.
You're right. Yeah.
And again, I agree, but I think we have to take into account who is doing this.
Yeah.
Right.
It's Boaz.
Yeah.
No one else.
No,
not the
right.
foreman.
Right.
Not the guys out there in the field. Boaz walks on the scene, hops off his camel with the swaggy Riz.
Yeah. For him to even have to tell his men means they might have been about that life.
Yeah.
So I already warned them, don't mess with you.
Right.
Yeah.
So why would you warn them if they were good people too? Like, it's not everybody's good.
Yeah.
Like, look, don't get it twisted.
Yeah. That's valid.
so yeah, Boaz is like that. He's doing the thing. So and Ruth is making out well, it seems so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's getting those accommodations, which, you know, not everyone let alone a foreigner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so again, it's the character of these people during this time. All right. Verses 17 to 20.
Yes. All right. Ruth chapter 2, verses 17 through 20. So she gleaned in the field until evening. Then she beat out what she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. She took it up and went into the city. Her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. She also brought out and gave her what food she had left over after being satisfied. And her mother-in-law said to her, "Where did you glean today? And where have you worked? Blessed be the man who took notice of you." So she told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked and said, "The man's name with whom I work today is Boaz." And Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, "May he be blessed by the Lord, whose kindness has not forsaken the living or the dead." Naomi also said to her, "The man is a close relative of ours, one of our redeemers."
Gets to take everything home.
Mm-hmm.
Leaves the country, goes back to the city. And what do you think about Naomi's response to her?
Some hope, finally.
Finally.
She's finally like, wait a minute. Where'd you get all this from? But I think it goes back to her not expecting much from them being back.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's, like you said, this is not something you should be able to live off of.
Right.
But you just came back with a lot. And maybe it's amount we could live off of.
Mm-hmm.
One of the little dictionaries I read said an ephah was 30 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, 30 pounds is a lot. of
Yes.
barley.
Right.
So yeah, she's shocked.
And it's the barley after she beat it or threshed it, right?
Yeah.
So all the husks of the barley is gone. It's just the barley itself.
Yeah.
So that's how much she got,
Yeah.
Sheesh.
right?
That's crazy.
But also to keep it in context, that's for two people. Like hopefully, if nothing else changes and they have to glean at the next harvest to eat, it has to last at least 6 weeks, right? Until the next harvest, until she can glean again, unless they're going to do something else. And then after that, it's got whatever they get, it's got to last October. So while it is, and this is one thing I was like, man, she got a lot. But then I started to think about it like, yeah, but it's got to last you for a while.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it was still a good haul. I'm not trying to poo-poo that. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer. Womp womp. But yeah.
I also didn't pick up on the fact that Naomi didn't know where Ruth was specifically going. I don't know. I just assumed that she knew like where she was going. But when she's like, "Where'd you go?"
Mm-hmm.
I then kind of started thinking maybe she was all over the place.
Yeah.
And then she was like, "Okay, so where'd you go today? Like, what was the moves today?" But like, I don't know. Like that just kind of took me by surprise when she asked that. I was like, "What do you like? Why is that even a question?" Unless it wasn't clear about where her everyday gleaning was going to take her.
Right.
It's to me, this was their first day after them coming, and she's going out to be like, all right, we need food, so let me go.
Yeah.
And Naomi is Debbie Downer. Like, I'm gonna just be in here. Like, woe is me. I don't need to eat. It's fine. Go if you want to go. And then she comes back and she's like, wait, because I also thought about Naomi has been here all day. Did she eat? Did she go out? Did you wash up today? Like, what's going on?
No, she's
Naomi's-
licking her wounds.
Thank you. Naomi's bitter right now. She was bitter until she
Poor
got
thing.
home.
Aw, but now at least she has something to smile about.
Yeah, she got some food, some leftovers, and extra barley, and
Oh, and also so nice of Ruth to not only she bought back her leftovers for Naomi as well. Like I just feel like that's just another level of consideration when you go out and you're like, let me bring some food for you. Let me get a to-go plate. Y'all all know you go to the cookout and you leave and you bring a to-go plate for whoever's at home. That's what this is giving me.
yeah.
Her extra leftovers she bought back for Naomi, which is nice. But I feel like too, I may just not know the background, but when she just called out who it was, like that's Boaz, that's our close relative. So Boaz?
This lady is bitter. That's why I said she didn't want anybody to come with her. She wanted to rest in her bitterness, and so we do have relatives, don't we?
Right, exactly.
But she didn't. Again, the time where people are doing what they want. The same way. What's that man's name that was spilling his semen? Like these are their.
Yeah.
This is what they know of people not actually doing this thing. They might pretend. Like, do I want to put my daughter-in-law through all of this?
No.
Are they really going to do it? And even later on, we find out the guy is like, oh, actually, no, I don't want to do that. like there's a lot of things that Naomi is probably like, if God let all of my kids die, why would he give us a redeemer?
Right.
What's the point?
Right.
So let me just go home and sulk with my people.
So that's the retort to
Oh, yeah, I still think that. I still think it's like, why she doesn't have any hope. She walked in saying, I'm empty.
you did say she
I'm
was
empty. I'm done.
Right. So it wasn't so much that Ruth would be a burden. It was that she just didn't want to bring her down to the depths
I think
that Naomi is.
no, the last time I said she would feel like she would have to take care of her
Right.
to some degree.
Right.
Which we are seeing. Yes, there is some level of you have to be protected. People are out here apparently harassing women who are in these fields. Do I want to put you in this position? Should you even go with me when I can just go alone and do this on my own?
Okay.
So that's what I was saying. It's a lot. And it reminded me of when I went to Nigeria, right? I went to Nigeria with one of my cousins. She's, oh yeah, come and da 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 da. And we get to her house and she wouldn't let me go anywhere. And I was so upset. And she's like, it's dangerous and da da. So why did you let me fly across the world to come here to sit in your house? I don't want to do that. But Ruth is like, I'm out. And I wasn't bold enough to be out. So I sat in the house until somebody picked me up. Like, and that's the difference.
I should have been Ruth.
I know. I called my uncle so quick, please come get me. Get me out of here.
That was the uncle that got you in all the trouble too, wasn't it?
No, a different uncle. That was a different. I went a couple of times. Okay. That was a different time.
Go watch last season.
Yeah, you need to get caught up. You don't know.
Man. No, there was an uncle that protected me and didn't let me get in trouble, but still let me be a little bit free.
So maybe that is the case. This story, this book has so many different ways to take things.
Yes, yeah. Multifaceted.
Right. Which is a good story, right? It is. Because when I read, I was just like, my take was that she probably really wanted somebody to go with her, but she just imagine if she didn't go, she'd be alone.
Right.
But I can also see.
It's like, I don't care if I'm alone.
I don't care if I'm alone. I'm bitter. I'm coming back. But why say that you are going home because there's food or fields? It's just a weird concoction in the way everything is set together.
Very.
So, all right.
Yeah.
I accept your retort. Very well. Very well. Nicely done.
Moyo has won.
This one. Yeah, I come back for the other ones.
Oh man.
But I did think it was interesting that she, like you were saying, this is just one of the redeemers. How many redeemers are there?
Right.
And why weren't you thinking of, I mean, we know she's bitter. But girl, come on.
You couldn't have said this earlier.
You gotta be on your what's the other girl from last season? You gotta be like Tamar. I need you to make a plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was so weird to me. Like, oh yeah. We do have a relative. He's one of the he's a relative of ours. I was like, what?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. It just was like random that she just, now this pops in your head. That would have been nice for you to convey that when you were soaking in licking your wounds at home.
Yeah.
You can.
That girl was not. She wasn't in it. But that's a lot to lose. So I get it.
So you all look at that as like it's how do I say it? Not like, I look at it as like almost like, oh yeah, you went to see Boaz? That's where you were today? Y'all don't look at it like that.
No.
Y'all look at it like,
oh yeah, Boaz.
Yeah, that's how
he is one of our people.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
You could have told her to go to Boaz from jump instead of having this girl wander in the streets.
Exactly. 100%. I'll give her the fact that she's moping, but you have to eat.
yes.
Like, we need to be in the Rolodex. Like, who do I know here that can help us out? Not, oh yeah, forget about him.
Yeah.
No. No,
and
not at all.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that because I think you all mentioned this earlier. I can see her being a bit depressed in that kind of really down mind state right now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So anything else is from verses 17 to 20? All right. Miss Jasmine, take us home.
All right. Ruth chapter 2, verses 21 to 23. And Ruth the Moabite said, Besides, he said to me, you shall keep close by my young men until they have finished all my harvest. And Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, it is good, my daughter, that you go out with his young women, lest in another field you be assaulted. So she kept close to the young women of Boaz, gleaning until the end of the barley and the wheat harvest. And she lived with her mother-in-law. Yeah.
So, what do we think about those couple verses?
The men just must have been just terrible. Like, why is it already an assumption that you'll be assaulted? Like, stay where you've already been. Like, he's talked to everyone. You're safe here.
Yeah.
Why is that like the norm? That's crazy.
Again, one of the most horrific stories is in the book of Judges. And it's like, it's bad.
That's
and
crazy.
to the point where I was like, why is that even in scripture? But I think it's in there to the point to just say, just this is how bad it was, how bad people are, how bad people thought.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, they took someone and cut her up after she had already been assaulted into little pieces and sent her around. I'm like, why? What? Who does this type of stuff? But again, it's that time when nobody was really inclined.
Yeah.
Not nobody, because Boaz is there. Not many people are inclined to do what God puts forth to do.
And to your point, I think it draws a really good contrast between it highlights the good of Boaz by also putting a strong, what is it called? The opposite, like the opposite right next to, like two opposites next to each other. I forget what that's called, but it like the goodness of Boaz versus like the heinousness of an assault.
Yep.
It just highlights how good of a person he is being to them, and like all the good that he's doing for them versus like there's really bad out here. Yeah. So let's stick with Boaz because he's taking good care of you. He's looking out for you. He's watching out for your best interest.
Exactly.
It really like, at least for me, I was like, okay, I'm understanding the role that he's playing.
Right. Exactly. There's still a remnant. There's still people out there who can and do follow what the Lord says to do, that are upstanding and upright.
For sure.
Even when it looks the darkest.
This book is just like the best representation of character development. Like you have TV shows where you see characters that don't change,
right?
And it's boring. But then you have shows like The Good Doctor, which I'm watching right now, and their characters develop from start to finish. You see two starkly different people from the beginning to end, and you learn what shapes their worldview. And I think here in Ruth, up until this point, like I'm learning a lot about like how Ruth is developing. And I don't even think necessarily she's changed throughout this. I think that she's remained pretty consistent in her willingness to be of help, of service, to lend a hand. But just watching it all unfold and watching her be consistent, it's not boring, but it's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing, I feel like there's minute, like the smallest nugget of growth in Naomi. Like just very minor, nothing too much. Little just a teensy bit.
I think there's hope in her now, because she says not in the ones we just read, but earlier, like, may he be blessed by the Lord whose kindness has not forsaken the living or the dead. So she's finally like, wow, God has not forsaken me yet.
Right.
And that's the one time she's like not in that mood anymore. She's coming out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see her sort of turning the corner with that with that line.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, what happened to Mara? Is Naomi, is Pleasant back?
I know. Is Bitter out the window?
Is Bitter gone? Who am I speaking to right now?
I feel like Naomi had to be a great woman for her daughter-in-laws to want to cling to her this way. So there is character development. She goes from being this like lively woman who has all of this for her. She has her husband, she has her kids get married. Like she's living a pleasant life, and then everything comes crashing down on her. So, but her daughter-in-laws are still like, we love you. We still want to be with you. And she's looking out for them as much as she can. Like she's in this mood and she wants to go and be by herself, but she's also like, I can't drag y'all with me. Right. So I think in all of it, Naomi she's depressed for herself. Yeah. And she's not dragging anybody with her. She's just like, y'all, leave me alone. Yeah. Let me just be here. And so I think she's always been great, and she's now coming out of it, back out of her depression or out of whatever her circumstance was. And she's seeing that God didn't forsake her. God didn't leave her.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
a good one.
Good job, folks. Closing it up. Any last thoughts on chapter 2?
I'm loving where we're going.
Yeah. This is cool. So, thanks for joining us. Like, subscribe,
Comment,
Share.
all the things.
Follow us on all the socials.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
finally fixed our highlights on Instagram, so the links are there.
That's right.
I'm out here working.
Oh, my favorite one that I commented on. Jasmine, whatever you say, your voice gets me every time.
What?
Oh, I feel so bad. It's something you say, and I laugh every time I hear it.
Oh my
I commented
God.
on it on
Instagram.
Instagram, I think. Instagram and YouTube. That's how much I like it.
All right, you guys are gonna get me back on Instagram. I took Instagram. I'm off of it completely. I haven't looked at Instagram in over a month now, but I'm gonna have to get back on it so I can look at our highlights because I really want to see. I want to see now which way
That one.
you commented on.
No, it's the one with Joseph, and it's been so sad for all these years.
I was sad for
Catches
him.
me all the time.
I
And
was
Moya's
sad.
like, poor baby. Like, please, this dude is second in command. He good.
See, if y'all want to, you have to tune in. You have to check out our socials so you can see all the fun stuff we got going on over there.
And I'm actually very happy that we finally fixed this Instagram stuff. So hopefully next season or this season that's out, the reels will make sense. They'll come out in a way that makes sense because it was good at first and then it just stopped.
Yeah. Hey, well, it's fixed. So we're back on it.
Keep up with us over there.
Definitely. Well, we're glad that you all joined us today. XYZers, XYZ Nation, with Generational Scriptures once again. And we will see you all later. We out of here. Deuces.
Bye.